Hello everybody, this is Stacia again on my little corner of the internet where I talk about movies. This week for our third Thanksgiving movie is going to be the 1998 movie, You've Got Mail. And it's sort of the perfect transition movie between Thanksgiving and Christmas, to me at least. It starts a little bit before Thanksgiving and leads on into after Christmas. So there's a lot of that Thanksgiving fall New York again vibes and also New York Christmas vibes, which are always the best Christmas vibes. And then leads us into springtime at the end. Yes, this movie is a kind of remake, a loose remake of the old film Shop Around the Corner. It's based upon the same play, The Perfumerie. I know I said that really bad. Sorry. And this is a very 1990s take on that play. So Nora Ephron wrote the screenplay for this movie along with her sister Delia Ephron. And Nora Ephron also directed You've Got Mail. And You've Got Mail has a perfect 1990s cast. In the lead roles, you have Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, their third movie together. Tom Hanks plays Joe Fox. Meg Ryan plays Kathleen Kelly, which is a great name for a character. You also have Greg Kinnear. He plays Meg Ryan's character's boyfriend at the time. And then you also have 90s indie favorite Parker Posey in this movie. One of her rare 1990s mainstream movie performances. She plays Tom Hanks' character's girlfriend, Patricia. We also have a stellar supporting cast in this movie. There is Jean Stapleton as Birdie. She is one of the employees of the Shop Around the Corner. Steve Zahn plays George, who is also an employee of the Shop Around the Corner. Heather Burns as Christina, the third employee of the Shop Around the Corner. So it's Meg Ryan and her three employees. And then playing Tom Hanks's friend slash employee is Dave Chappelle as Kevin in the movie. He's not in it nearly as much as he should be. It kind of disappears halfway through the movie too. Then we also have Dabney Coleman as Nelson Fox, who is Tom Hanks's character's father, and John Randolph as Tom Hanks's grandfather. They have an interesting family dynamic in this movie. So if you're not familiar with the story of You Got Mail, the Shop Around the Corner is a little children's bookstore owned by Kathleen Kelly, whose mother started it, and she inherited from her mother after she died. And she has kept this little bookstore going, and it's one of those New York bookstores that specializes, it's only children's books. It's a wonderful children's environment, wonderful story time and everything. And then Tom Hanks's Joe Fox is in the Fox family that owns those big chain bookstores, kind of like Barnes and Noble and Borders from back in the day, which I used to work at Borders, and set up as the boogeyman of the movie. And it centers around 90s internet. This is a very, very, very 90s nostalgic movie. If you're nostalgic for the 90s, You've Got Mail is the right film for that. It is pure 90s nostalgia with its AOL online, with its dial-up internet tone, very early internet, and the character of the two main leads emailing back and forth and not knowing who one another really is. So as I said at the beginning, this movie starts shortly before Thanksgiving. It has those New York locations, the New York leaves are changing. It is immaculate fall vibes. The movie has a Thanksgiving party that they go to that they both end up at. And the Thanksgiving part is being thankful for the life you have, or being thankful for the family that you have. Whether that is your bloodline family or the family that you've made out of friends. And this movie has a great soundtrack with a combination of classic songs, some 90s hits, and a lot of songs by Harry Nilsson. And it's the Harry Nilsson stuff that really stands out. If you're not familiar with his work, you should check him out. When I was a little kid, I used to listen to his album and storybook and even watch the animated cartoon. The Point is one of my favorite things growing up. It is very of its time, but has some important lessons in it. And the songs in it are perfect, but they do use his music largely in this movie, and it is a perfect balance in this movie, the voice and music of Harry Nilsson. But it also uses other classic music that just hits the right point for that New York fall time, holiday time setting. And there are a couple of modern songs thrown in there for your 90s sensibilities. The reason why I'm saying that this movie is so nostalgic for the 90s is because of the points that I made. So has it aged well? Well, that's a matter of opinion. The storyline still holds up, but the look, feel, and things that happen in this movie are very 1990s. But I don't see that as necessarily a problem. I've said it several times. See this as a period piece instead. And the period of this one is late 1990s, early internet vibes. So getting into 90s movies, you see the budgets of films just explode to where they were in the 80s and the 70s and before that. I've talked about budgets a lot to movies. So this movie, this little rom-com was made for $65 million. And this is back when big stars were making $10 to $20 million a picture. And there were no bigger stars than Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks at the time. And when they teamed up together, it was always magic on screen. So they got large paychecks and made that movie for $65 million. But was this movie a big hit? Yes, it was. It made over $250 million at the worldwide box office. So that $65 million back then was money well spent. And yes, this movie is another New York City love story, which, just like a Woody Allen movie, the city of New York is photographed so well. It is filmed on location in New York City, and New York City looks fabulous in this movie. It is the romanticized New York City that we all crave in our minds. It is a very Upper West Side focused movie. We have Central Park, we have Riverside Park. There's even a scene in Zabar's, the grocery store of the Upper West Side. Very New York grocery store. There's a scene at Gray's Papaya, also very Upper West Side. When Woody Allen movies usually put you in the Upper East Side, now we have You've Got Mail, which puts you on the Upper West Side, which both very New York, very pretty neighborhoods. And for a little bit of internet lore for you guys, like I said, this is about two people emailing back and forth to each other, not realizing who the other one really was. And those emails were kept on a website by Warner Brothers for You Got Mail until 2018. So you had 20 years where you could go and get a little glimpse into some movie magic writing of the emails in this movie. If you were a fan of this movie, it was a very fun thing to go to. And the location of the shop around the corner was a cheese and antique shop in the city. And the location of Fox Books in this movie was an actual Barnes and Noble that was in the city. And yes, that fear of little bookstore owners was fueled by that Barnes & Noble opening on the Upper West Side. Bookstores like Shakespeare and Company that used to be on the Upper West Side, that Barnes & Noble did actually drive that store out of business which was a big thing in the 1990s. It's kind of ironic looking back today. Borders is out of business. Barnes & Noble's has been struggling, although they have had a minor resurgence because of the TikTok popularity of books. Their business is starting to really come back and rebound. They are really the last large book retailer left standing in the wars of the 90s and early 2000s. And you also in the city have a resurgence of those little niche bookstores in the city. Usually they specialize in one type of book, like a travel book, romance books, stuff like that. Antique bookshops, of course. Barnes & Noble is the last man standing in the big box bookstore gang wars, I guess. And if you're a fan of the movie Wizard of Oz, this has several subtle nods to The Wizard of Oz. You see a scene where all of the Oz books are featured. You have the ruby red slipper Christmas ornament. The book that she's reading when Joe Fox visits her apartment is The Scarecrow of Oz. And Over the Rainbow plays over the end scene of the movie. The movie is not without its faults. I mean, I can see the commercialism in this movie. It is a huge advertisement for AOL, which was huge at the time, and the internet was really primitive, let's say, as opposed to today. And also the manipulation of Joe Fox's to Kathleen Kelly. I feel like she should have been a little bit more mad at the deception by him in this film. But it ends in that lovely romance film way. It gives you that happy ending. It gives you those holiday vibes, those warm cozies. So it makes it perfect going in to the holiday season. And I'm not saying it's not overly sentimental, but there is that, you know, romance movies often do have that, you know, tone where there's a few suspect things happening, but I overlooked that. The tone, the vibes of this movie are just great, and who doesn't love a pairing of Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks in the 90s? All you Joe versus the Volcano and Sleepless in Seattle fans as well. And for younger viewers and viewers like me who were adults during the time of this, the technology in this movie, to see that old technology, is both nostalgic and probably for younger people fascinating how thick a laptop could be and how large our tiny screen monitors were. That's always fun to see in that, because that was really what was around during then. But it makes it seem like this movie should be 50 years old, although it is hard to believe that this movie is 26 years old. You cannot convince me still that the 90s was 30 years ago. So there you go. That is my third Thanksgiving movie, but really, You've Got Mail is a transition movie from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And I will be back with Christmas movies after this. We're going to be in December. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And thank you so much to subscribing to my channel. Or if you haven't already subscribed and you like this type of content, consider subscribing. I reached my goal of 500 subscribers this year. So I'm seeing now if I can get to 600 subscribers by the end of this year. I am already halfway through that, so thank you all very much for that. And I would like you guys to comment, what is your favorite Thanksgiving or Christmas movie that you watch every year? So thank you again. Like I said, my name is Stacia. Thank you for joining me on my little corner of the internet. I love and appreciate you all. Bye.